Hello, I'm Rob Constantine, and this is Paranormal Record. Hey listeners, welcome back. What's going on, Paranormal Nation? It's Rob Constantine with Paranormal Record. This is the very last episode of the first season. I'm so excited to finally drop this and finish my very first season. And I hope this is the first of many. Just keep listening and keep writing in, and we'll see how far we can take this thing. I'm always talking about the podcast, and I've always been talking about the paranormal ever since I was like young enough to check those books out of the library, old enough to check those books out of the library, right? Like I've always been reading books and thinking about paranormal and talking with people about paranormal. The podcast is just an extension of that. And same thing. I'm just talking about the podcast in a bar, hanging out with people and talking to people I don't know. And this guy's like, that's awesome. I have a story for you, and I want to be on your podcast. And this is just kind of the beginning of this, where I kind of ran out of my family and friends, and now I'm reaching out to the general public and just people in conversation, and anybody that has a story to tell. I want to hear it. The Paranormal Nation wants to hear it. You know, you guys want to hear it. You know, you guys are the Paranormal Nation. Just saying. I'm giving us a name, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. So Rocky was very kind to give me his story, and here we go. This is the last episode of the first season. Rocky's got a great story for us. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. Well, Rocky, I'm so glad to have you. I met you guys a couple weeks ago, and I'm always talking about the show, so I guess I was talking about the show, and and you and your girlfriend were interested, and then come to find out there's this whole history that you have, and some stuff you've dealt with and that your sister deals with all the time. So wow, I can't wait to hear it, man. I'm so excited. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I really appreciate being on the show.
Absolutely.
Never really told this story in a kind of public space, so to speak. So forgive me if I kind of miss any details or misspeak on anything. But no, I'm excited to be here. This seems like it's gonna be fun.
Fantastic. Well, the Paranormal Nation out there is listening, and we're excited to hear your story. So take it away.
Well, hopefully I satisfied them in some ways, but
can't do it wrong, man. I don't think you can. I think it's just everybody's experiences.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And a little kind of backstory about myself is I've always kind of had a connection to the paranormal. I feel like I've had experiences growing up, more so than I feel like other people. Just small little things where I might, feel like a presence or hear like a voice in the back. And as I talk to other people about it, I'm like, wow, that was a really weird thing that happened to me. This happened to me. And they're like, oh, that's something your grandmother might have said, or, her grandmother might have said. And so I feel like people have a certain veil, and maybe my family or maybe me, have a thinner veil than most people, where we kind of experience paranormal things, and it's never been malicious. I've maybe had a handful of malicious kind of things happen to me, but this experience was positive.
Yeah,
in my mind.
I think a lot of people also don't necessarily acknowledge. They might see more than they give credit to, or they might not know what they're seeing when they're seeing it, or they might just completely, logic it away and be like, nah,
there's no possible way this would have happened to me.
Right. Yeah.
Something like that.
So if you're open to it, and especially if you experience it, and then I can't imagine experiencing something constantly and constantly ignoring it, and just eventually questioning my own reality or sanity. as opposed to
Yeah,
that.
I think you might question your sanity a little bit more.
There has to be a line where you're just like, this is happening.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I felt when I was walking into this. Granted, I had experiences before, and I'd always kind of logicked them away or scienced them away, or been like, "Oh, I'm asleep," so that was a mid dream.
Yeah.
Whatever sort of rationalization I could really do. But no, the experiences I had in my sister's house were real and tangible, and
ongoing.
And ongoing over multiple years and multiple visits. So a little backstory on her house. She bought this house, what was it, 8-9 years ago? And that her husband, my brother-in-law, he's from New Orleans, so they were moving back to New Orleans. They were in Houston for a little while, moved back to New Orleans, bought this house in a little suburb, and they didn't really know much of the history behind it. They kind of knew that the gentleman had passed away, and then going through the house, this house was set up to party. He had speakers in every single room.
Oh, wow.
He had an almost commercial grade kitchen, fryer, all this stuff.
He is hosting some serious soirees.
Exactly. And it's New Orleans. New Orleans has
social
events every weekend.
Boom.
Even if it's not like your Mardi Gras or your Jazz Fest
house
or whatever
parties.
You think. They're having house parties all the time. So he definitely loved to entertain. And one of my favorite features of the house, actually, which I think describes this gentleman's kind of just demeanor completely. He has, so in their living room, it's a 2-story living room, but the master bedroom comes off of it, and he has a balcony, which he would present himself for parties in the balcony.
That's amazing,
isn't it?
Like it opens out the backyard would be below it, or
no. This is
inside the house.
Home. This is in the home. This is in the living room. Okay. So you're hanging out with everybody. You've shown up.
A friend of mine has a house layout like that, and I went upstairs. There's a party downstairs, and I went out on the balcony and looked down, got everyone's attention, and then said, "Don't cry for me, Argentina." Dude, I had to.
I mean, you would have to do some sort of opera thing off of this balcony. Like, it is, it is one of those balconies.
Or friends, Romans, countrymen.
Yeah.
Lend me your ears. You have to do something.
I'm picturing him opening up the doors, because it's like a doors open outward, so it's like my friends, come and party with me, or something.
Yes.
And on the opposite wall of what would have been the balcony, there's a fireplace.
Okay.
Again, 2-story kind of ceiling thing there. He had just a grandiose picture of him and his partner.
Like you do.
I mean, why not?
Absolutely.
Why not?
Is there a dog in there? It makes it better if there's a dog in there.
I don't think there was a dog in there. I never saw the picture.
There should be.
But, I kind of like to picture that. And I kind of picture, again, I've never seen the picture, but I imagine it in my mind as one of those, you see them on Instagram and stuff every now and then where they're like, we'll paint you as royalty.
Yes.
Like, give me your dog, give me a picture of your head, and we'll put you in some, 1700s.
That's amazing.
Outfit. So
I love it.
So that's kind of the house. And
don't cry for me. Yeah, that's good.
In this man's later years, he was a doctor, and so I'll refer to him as the doctor.
Okay.
His health declined in his later years. He retired, lived in the house. He had a caregiver that eventually lived in what was the master bedroom, and he kind of created a studio apartment sort of setup in the front of the house. So it's New Orleans. You have the very narrow shotgun style homes, right?
Yeah.
Where you almost have more territory going back than you do kind of going side to
side. Yeah,
there's
narrow stairways going up. They're like wicked narrow.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you walk into this home, to get to his room, you would have had to almost do a U. You would have to walk all the way back through the kitchen, take a right, take another right, and then walk up a long hallway.
Okay.
And then you're in what would have been his room.
This is the former resident's doctor's room, not the caregiver's room.
Yes.
Okay,
Exactly,
got it.
Exactly. Caregiver's living upstairs.
Yeah.
At this point, the doctor is wheelchair bound, so he's
Yeah.
not able to get up many stairs, and there wasn't many stairs for him to get up, being down there. And you're looking off of this from the kitchen.
I'm glad that he was in his home, and this time in his life he wasn't stuck in a hospital somewhere.
Right. Exactly. I mean, who wants
That's
to
where
pass
you
away
want.
in a hospital?
That's where you want to be.
Right. I would. Yeah. Much rather die in my sleep at home than in
Yes.
a hospital.
I'd rather not die at all ever. But
I mean, that'd be great. But
yes, I can die. I'm fine with dying. I just don't want to know about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same mindset with you. Go in
I don't want the fear. All honesty, I don't want the fear involved. I don't want that
Yes.
long fear involved. If I'm gonna go, I want it to be like quick or in my sleep would be ideal. Like wow,
I think that'd be perfect. I think that'd be
and
perfect.
old as I could possibly be. Like
Yep.
let me be here as long as possible.
Well, I've always thought, let me get to an age where I am still mobile
Yeah,
and still like senile, or not senile, but like still like
lucid.
Lucid, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Let me die right as I cusp over into the senile and not mobile. Like,
you got look at Dick Van Dyke. Look at John Aston. Those people are rocking it into their
yeah,
90s and killing it. And yeah, Dick Van Dyke, man. I think he's 96 this year, 94.
is he really?
Betty White was 99. So was George Burns, right?
Rest in peace, Betty White.
Yes. Oh my God.
America's sweetheart, right
she was
there.
so great. George too. He was fantastic, and he wanted to live that long, and he did. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm saying it to the universe. I would please, as long as I possibly can. Said the overweight diabetic. All right, hooray! That's all right. So I am. But yeah, I'm glad that he was there. That's special.
Yeah.
That's good.
so
And he loved this house.
he loved this house.
It was his soiree location.
Right. I mean, how could you not? I mean, everybody kind of loves their home, but I think he put a little special effort
Yes.
into it to really make it something where
I
other
wish
people might enjoy.
I wish you still had that painting just in a room
Yeah.
somewhere.
I wish I even had a photo of it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of very New Orleans, as you kind of build your home, at least.
But they
in
did
my
tell you
experiences.
about it. You did hear about it.
The photo being there?
The painting was there. You did. Someone told
Yes.
you that.
Yes.
Like someone passed that along. At least you got that information.
Yeah. I think it was, Alicia, my sister was describing the house when she first moved into me, and that was kind of, we've got this balcony, there used to be a painting there, so she's, kind of showing me around. We're kind of joking about it, because that is kind of an eccentric thing to have, right?
You love this stuff, though. You love
I
history
love
and
that.
family history.
I love people having a bunch of, things, like even your home, you've got a bunch of very interesting artifacts
Thank
and
you,
things
sir.
around. Like, I think that's it. It gives personality.
Their house is a museum.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
I mean, if your home is just some boring, plain slate.
How dare you?
Do you
What?
have a person?
Boring me?
No, this wouldn't, not this home. So yeah, when they first moved in, they really knew nothing about the house. They knew a little bit about the caregiver. They knew a little bit about the gentleman that lived there previously. But, as when you buy a home, you really don't understand the history of what that home's been through, or the people that have lived there,
Or the
previously.
ground that the home's on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's actually a good point. This home is 3 streets over from a major cemetery in New Orleans.
Yep.
We all know New Orleans is just a little hotbed for that kind of activity, but
Yeah.
when you live next to a cemetery in New Orleans, you kind of have like you're really in the hot
We
seat
were
there.
talking about just swamps being ancient grounds, and swamps. To create a swamp, it has to be years old just to create what a swamp is.
Right.
And New Orleans is lots of swamps. a series of swamps.
It's soon to be fully swamped.
Ancient lands.
Right.
Ancient land. All right. So yeah.
So
There's a lot of energy that comes from that.
a lot of energy, just kind of a hotbed.
Whatever that means. There's a feeling to it.
I
There's
agree
a
with
weight to it.
that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And, they were first moving into this home, and the front door on this home is a very heavy front door.
Cool.
Knocker, everything. It's kind of like an old school front door. when they were doing the moving thing, everybody's out getting stuff out of the moving van, yada yada. The front door just closes on its own.
What?
And
that was the first day they moved in?
This is the first day they moved in.
Oh my God.
And it seemed kind of like a get out, because it wasn't just wind blowing something. It was like a
oh my God
sort of closing.
Oh my God. This is the introduction.
This is an introduction.
First day.
First
First couple of boxes.
Moving van is outside.
Bang.
Bang. Door closes.
I'm sure there wasn't even any wind.
Well, I'll get into that later, but yeah, no, there's not a lot. It's New Orleans again.
There's
it's
not
humid,
a lot of wind.
It's hot.
There's not a lot of wind in New Orleans. There should be.
No.
It would be nice.
Not until hurricane season, at least.
Oh God. Yes, I guess there is a lot of wind there.
Yeah. Yeah, so the front door closes, and they're all kind of like, oh, okay, is that the wind? Yes, or, whatever.
It was an isolated wind.
No big deal. So they move in.
Because that's how wind works.
Yeah, so they get everything moved in,
yeah.
and my brother-in-law, he's a doctor. He goes off to work a couple weeks afterwards. Now my sister, this is before they had kids, is in the home alone, and she just hears slight sneezing or coughing over here. Just.
And she's by herself.
She's by herself, right?
Yeah.
And it's I've talked to her about that and like what her mindset was when she was hearing that. She was like, it's one of those sort of sounds that you think might be, I'm new in this house. I don't really know the thickness of the walls. Is it maybe the neighbor is outside in his side yard and had a little or a
right
something, or?
But the doctor convalesced in this home. He was sick in this home.
He passed away in the home.
Yeah, and there were years before that.
A couple years, like a year or two before this.
Yeah.
So.
Goodness.
It spooked her a little bit.
Because are people breaking in and are they coughing? Where's my gun? Those are the series of thoughts that, and I'm leaving right now.
Right.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if I would have necessarily lingered around, but in my mind, I would have thought, oh, the neighbor.
The window's open in the next room, and I'm hearing people in the street.
There's thin walls between this and whatever,
Yeah.
So she hears that for like years, and she's kind of telling us. And at this time, I was living in a different state, and I had kind of gone into a different part of my career, so I wasn't really visiting as much. So it took me a little while to get there. And she, had told me some stories and stuff. And again, I feel like my family has a different little connection to sort of that, paranormal sort of
right. You guys have a this is something that occurs that is not something you're not surprised by these things,
right?
Because you've been dealing with them, and
right.
you've heard of your elders dealing with them, and they've told you that
they've had experiences,
right? And you've talked openly about it as a family.
We're very much a family that sees a cardinal outside the window and is like, oh, that's Grandpapa,
Oh, that's awesome. Yes.
So that's kind of where we're coming from.
Okay.
In that regard. So, anyways.
So she wasn't scared when she heard the coughing. She was just like,
not necessarily.
All right, this is a new thing, but it's happening.
Exactly.
And it's happened more than once.
Exactly. It's almost a daily occurrence for her.
That's a lot. That's definitely audible.
Yeah.
Coughs are not personal effects. I'm trying to coughs are personalized. Like, that's a thing. Like, everybody coughs a certain way. I've heard Michelle in the sneeze today.
Right.
And her sneezes have sound.
Right.
And there's a personalization of that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, you're spending time with this presence, apparently. I mean, I would eventually, if I could get over the fear involved, it would go beyond that a little bit, and then I'd be like, oh, he's here today, he's gonna make himself known today.
I honestly, when I first walked into the house, I wasn't really expecting anything. I didn't think I would have any sort of experience or see him or, with the paranormal activity or anything. I wasn't expecting anything at all. I just thought I was going in for, what was it, Jazz Fest, probably.
Fantastic. Jazz Fest?
Great time.
There we go.
Everybody go to Jazz Fest.
You can sponsor my show, Jazz Fest.
It's a great time. It's a great time. So I'm there for my first Jazz Fest. I'm just excited to be there.
Cool.
Excited to see my sister and my brother-in-law. And I'm asleep. I'm asleep downstairs, and where I'm staying is in the guest bedroom, which is the doctor's old room.
Okay.
Okay.
In your sister's house.
In the sister's house.
Right.
Right. And again, you've got the long hallway, you've got a bathroom off to the side, a laundry room, and then the office. And he passed away in that hallway because he was stuck, with a wheelchair in that little area.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
Terrible, right? Middle of the night, trying to go to the bathroom, and
rest in peace, Doc.
Rest in peace, Doc. So first night that I'm there, I am asleep, and I'm woken up at like 3 o'clock. Let's call it like 2:30ish.
It's a witching hour, man.
It is a witching hour, and the room's dark, but again, it's in the front of the house, so there's a bit of like a street light sort of ambiance kind of coming in through the window, and there is an entity that is walking from the hallway that comes in and kind of naturally, like they were just on their typical path, walked in from the hallway, went like around the bed, and they were looking like they were going to go to the corner, like the very front corner, but they stopped right in front of me, turned, looked at me, and I can't see any facial structures or anything. I mean, this is just like a black blob of whatever.
A shape.
Yes. Human-like shape.
A human shape. Shoulders.
Yeah. Shoulders, neck, head is what I can see.
Yeah.
Again, I'm prone, laying in bed.
Yeah.
And he looks at me and then kind of comes over around to my side.
Oh,
and
no.
And like face to face, almost nose to nose, says, "What are you doing here?
You can see me."
Just, what are you doing here?
He spoke.
And I kind of blinked and, to like, what am I looking at? Gone. Everything was
and
gone.
When he spoke, it wasn't in your head. It was audible.
It was
like he was in the room next to you.
It was as I'm talking to you right now.
Wow. How did you not pass out? How did you not just lose it? Like,
well,
did you keep it together? Like, what?
I've had other experiences, so I kind
of... You don't want to tell us about those experiences today, Rocky?
We can go into it later.
Goodness gracious.
We can go into it later, but
this was not a residual haunt. He wasn't just walking the path. He was walking the path, turned and said, "Oh, this person can see me."
Stopped.
What's
and
up?
Looked at me.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
Oh man.
Face to face.
Plain
as day.
Did you reply? No.
Not in that moment.
Okay.
Not in that moment.
Golly, Rocky. Goodness gracious.
So
he leaned over.
I mean, yeah. He realized I was in bed, leaned over.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? He was walking there. He wasn't in a wheelchair. That's good.
Yeah, so that's
like, I'm done being scared. Now I'm just going to be like, okay, now what?
That's actually an interesting thing.
Oh my gosh.
I've always kind of thought about
Never heard of a haunted wheelchair either. Like,
yeah, you hear the little...
Like The Entity, like at that George C. Scott movie.
Yeah.
See The Entity. It's a good movie. Anyway. Dude. Holy shit.
So, yeah. So that was my first experience. And,
okay. That's the first time you stayed there.
It was the very first time I stayed there. And I felt like after that...
Wait. Before we leave this evening...
Okay, sure.
Did you just go back to sleep?
Yes.
Golly, how do people do that? How do you not wake the whole house up and be like, yo?
I mean, it took...
Holy shit!
It took me a moment. It took me a moment to go back to sleep.
Like, the adrenaline.
Yeah. You definitely have an adrenaline dump. I mean, I hopped on my phone for a little bit after that and just kind of settled the nerves and everything. I'm not saying I was,
Casual.
Stone cold,
Yes.
casual, like, oh, hey, doctor.
Well, that happened.
I'm just sleeping
That's
here.
like if the dog just one day talked.
Yeah,
There's not enough food here. Like, what? Did you just speak?
yes.
I don't like that cat. I really don't like that other dog. What? Did you just speak, Barkley? I'm just saying. That would be the kicker. For him to talk after you looked over and like, did you just, I'm losing my mind. The dog is talking to me. And then for him to just say one more thing.
Oh, I know. Yeah, what if I would have said something and he would have responded? Because I said nothing. I mean, I was a little stunned. I was just kind of...
A little bit. Did the room change temperature? Could you see through him?
I couldn't necessarily see through him. I mean, it was solid black.
He's a pretty powerful guy.
Just I don't know anything about the
power. I don't know, but I don't know. Like he was solidly there.
Yes.
Did he have legs? Maybe.
Possibly.
You were looking for a face, really?
Yeah, I'm more looking eyes.
What was he wearing?
Nothing. I mean, I'm saying it was just complete black, plain. You know.
When he was face to face with you, he had features then?
No.
Shit.
No, nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So just that.
No eyes, no nose, no like.
But it wasn't
like a 3D.
It wasn't a shadow figure, though. He had more features than that, but
right.
not much more than that.
Not much more.
Okay.
Almost like a 2D kind of figure, but with like motion.
Rocky,
if that makes
and
sense.
Also, he caught your eye in the first place because you woke up, then you saw him moving, then he moved closer, and then all of a sudden he was standing next to you.
I was awake before he even came in the room.
Oh wow, cool.
So I was awake, and it's just one of those moments where you wake up in the middle of the night and you're kind of like, oh, like I got to adjust. Let me get some water, kind of thing. And I looked over at my phone and saw, oh, what time is it?
And then he starts.
It was
moving.
like 2:00, and as I look over at my phone, I know the listeners can't see where I'm looking, but I'm looking over to my right, which would have been down the hallway.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my phone, and it's one of those things where you catch something coming through.
Were doors to hallways and other rooms open? Everything's open.
All open.
He walked through open doors.
He's walking through open doors. He's just coming through, makes a little round. In the
You didn't think it was a burglar or somebody breaking in, though. You knew it was not.
Honestly, my first thought was that I was just like tired, and maybe my sister or my brother-in-law was walking in the room to grab something.
Okay.
Because I'm still kind of
groggy,
teary-eyed. That initial wake up.
But there was no danger involved. It was just like
no danger at all. No.
That's good. Huh.
It was just
temperature changes. Nothing. No.
A little bit of a temperature change.
Okay. Winds or a draft or just
no winds,
just
no
general
drafts.
cold.
Just
Did that heat return or the normal room temperature return after he left for a little bit while you were still on your phone and
I really
searching?
don't recall because I fell back asleep. I mean, maybe 5-10 minutes after.
How did you go back to sleep? That is.
I was tired.
That is strength and character, Rocky.
I was tired. I needed.
But you have been dealing with this for a while. We're gonna get these other stories out of you as well. Hopefully, maybe we'll have to have 2 episodes, Rocky.
I don't know if I've got all that, but we'll see.
Incredible. This is wow, Rocky. Wow, man.
It was.
I'm excited for you. This is really interesting, and backs up whatever was shutting and opening that door and coughing.
A little bit, yeah.
Definitely.
A little bit. So after that experience, my niece was born, and
niece.
I don't know what that means, but yes, props to niece.
I have a bell. I have to ring it.
Well,
I'm gonna start singing.
Ring it every time I say niece because I love that girl. I love her.
I know you do. I bet you do.
So she's about a year now after all this, and I've been down to New Orleans a couple times to visit my family. After that initial experience, I started to announce myself when I stayed there, and just said, "Hey, doctor, I'm here. I'm going to be staying for a few days. If you don't mind, let me share this space with you."
You're answering his question. He said, "Who are you? Why are you here?" So you're addressing this.
And I felt like that was fair because that's something I would want.
I think they want to be I think a lot of the time they're looking for attention and they just want some acknowledgement.
Right.
And that helps.
Right.
Wow.
I mean, I've always imagined it like you're, let's say you're walking through your home and I'm sitting on your couch on a random Thursday night, and you're like, Rocky, what are you doing here? That's kind of how it was said to me. So I was okay with it. I didn't. So I just
he wasn't even aggressive. He was just like, what are you doing here? It was so casual.
You're right. So
Shit.
My niece is, she's about 2 years old, and again, their kitchen, when you're looking from his room, you can see the kitchen, right? So it's just a straight hallway. And they're in the kitchen around the stovetop area. My sister's holding my niece, and she's looking over to the hallway, which would be to your right, and says, Mommy, what is that man doing here? My sister looks over. She doesn't see anything.
Kids and animals, they can see them.
Again, the thin veil, I think there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
And but she saw, and there was nothing after that. I mean, my sister asked, what do you mean? Who are you talking about? And she just kind of...
She's like, he's gone now.
Kind of continued on about her day. Nothing big.
Because he wasn't there anymore.
He wasn't there anymore.
Oh my gosh. So it wasn't relevant to a 2-year-old. I mean, that checks out.
No, not at all.
Oh my gosh. She said who, and then the girl's like, him. And then she's like, what him?
That man down there.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I think probably my most active experience, and when I sleep there, so this is many years continuing on. We're talking 5, 6, 7 years.
So there's sometimes you stay there, nothing happens.
Exactly. Sometimes nothing happens. Sometimes I stay there and I have like a super active night. And say my sister lives there obviously, and same thing with her. Some days she'll have an active night. Some days she won't have it. Some days, it kind of just fluctuates, almost like a hot and cold, up and down roller coaster type of situation. It's not all the time.
I wonder if he's stronger on certain days and then weaker on others for whatever corporeal reasons.
I've been curious about that too.
Right? These things come in seasons or waves, or and they have something to do with the person, or they have something to do with the earth or the land it's on.
Right.
That's fascinating to me. Like, I just want it to make some sense.
So do I. Or like All Hallows Eve, Halloween. They say that's the period where it's the hottest. And maybe there's some. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
October's definitely spooky, but I don't know if that's real. I think that might just be like bunny rabbits on Easter and stuff. I don't.
Yeah.
It's definitely the beginning of a season, though. There's probably more to it than I'm giving it credit for, because they built a holiday around that, and there are reasons for that. But I think basically it's the beginning of the harvest. It's the beginning of the year of food and growing food, and then how's this going to go for us?
Could even be like a moon cycle.
Temperature changes, moons. Yeah, right. Yeah. It's all kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's wow. Okay.
So my and there's times where I stay there and room temperatures get cold. They keep their house on the hotter end.
In New Orleans, ladies and gentlemen.
In New Orleans.
That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work to have a cold house. But no, there have been times where I've woken up, or my parents, who also go down there to stay and help the kids, will wake up and they're freezing cold.
In New Orleans.
In New Orleans.
In the summer.
And my parents also love to keep their house at like 64. So they are cold.
So colder than that.
Yes. And
they're cold. That's cold.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not seeing him as much as he'd like, so then he messes with the temperature.
I don't know. Or maybe he's just there hanging out.
Wow, that's really colder than 64.
I mean,
so I guess they jack it up when they're there. Your sister jacks up the temperature when they're there, and then
she keeps it at her normal temperature.
What
she's comfortable with.
Okay.
But my mom's one of the ones who wants to keep it at whatever your set temperature is. We got to keep it 6 degrees colder, kind of thing. So
I could probably sleep in the same house with your mom and be comfortable.
Yeah.
I like it a little chill.
Great.
Have a fan on me year round.
Yeah, throw a sweatshirt on.
Yeah.
Bundle up in the blankets. You're good. You're comfy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sleep in a sweatshirt. That's too cold. That's tough. I have been in temperatures like that though, where it's so cold in the morning in the mountains or whatever, so you just go to sleep with it on because it's like I'm gonna wake up in that. Electric blankets and such.
Yeah.
We had a mountain house in North Carolina. Everybody had an electric blanket from like the 70s, so we're like, this place is gonna burn down.
Yeah, I get a little nervous about that. The electric blankets make me
Yes,
nervous.
dude, they're so
Electric
old.
heaters and stuff.
They were so old. Oh my gosh.
I'd rather just bundle up, you know.
Yeah, well, that's why I was wearing a sweatshirt. I was like, electric blanket. I don't know about that. I'll just wear these clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we slept in the basement of the mountain house, so it was like subterraneous.
Okay.
Plus being in the mountains, and then it's real cold in the morning up there, and at night, and then the day's all right. But anyway, yeah, electric blankets from like the 70s. Yeah, I did not use them. I think my sister did though. Anyway, yeah, wow. So temperature changes. Your parents.
So people were having experiences throughout the years. Nothing really too major. But I had probably the last major experience about two years ago.
Okay.
And I feel like it was a very comforting kind of almost like a knuckles, you know, somebody giving you a high five or giving you permission to be
Like-
in their space.
Like
sort of
cathartic,
thing.
kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm
Like a-
asleep. This
okay,
is
yeah.
fully in a dream. And in the dream, I sort of wake up, like I'm moving around. It's almost like a lucid dream.
Is it a vision? Are you awake?
I'm in the dream. I'm sleeping, but in the dream, I'm awake. It's a very lucid dream.
Okay.
Okay, and
That's-
I have those pretty frequently.
Okay.
So that's not unfamiliar for me. I've actually tried to build up my like lucid dreaming control because there is sort of a way you can control it through like, you know, different things.
You always know you're dreaming?
If I wake up in a dream, I know I'm dreaming.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah. So I'm in this lucid dream, and it's a very calm environment. I'm in the same room that I'm asleep in. I'm in a bed, but I'm in a different bed.
Oh.
Same sort of setup. The room, the contents of the room are different, but the like outfit of the room is stayed the same.
Wow.
There is no chair in the corner, actually, but in this dream there is a chair in the corner, right by the front windows, and there's a gentleman sitting there,
Oh,
and he's
cool.
just reading a book.
He's waiting for you to wake up.
Just saying nothing, just reading a book. It's raining outside, pouring rain, and it's kind of late in the evening because I can see they have a floodlight outside that window, and that floodlight kind of ticks on whenever a car comes by, and the floodlight's on and turning off. It's not lightning, but I can see that it's actively going off, and I kind of fall in and out of this dream for like the next what feels like 3 hours, but again,
Wow.
you're in a dream, so you don't really know. Just a gentleman reading a book. But I can see him. I can describe him as plainly as I can describe you sitting across from me. He's about 5'4", 5'5", a little bit on the chubby side, has that friar patch kind of balding that happens, you know, where it's just around the ears and kind of the back, but the top of the head is all bald,
Yeah.
graying,
Yeah.
and like a happy face, you know, those kind of like happy cheeks or whatever. I wake up in the morning, as I normally do, go and get coffee with my sister in the kitchen, and I'm like, I think I saw something last night, and I just want you to, you know, sanity check me for a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does the doctor look like this? And I described him.
Does he look like Mr. Green from the board game Clue?
Yeah, okay, yeah. And so I describe him to her, and as I'm describing him to her, she's on her phone pulling up his obituary. I've never seen a picture of him. Right? I know I said that the picture was on his living room wall.
Never saw it.
I never saw that. Never seen a picture of him. Didn't really even know his full name until then. And she goes, "Does he look like this?" And I was like, "Yeah,
Exactly
that is
like that.
100% him.
Yes.
110% that is him."
Gosh. That's awesome.
But again,
you just were reading that he was just spending some time with you.
Yeah. I felt like that was very comforting.
So
and
cool.
That's been after I've announced myself as I come in there and come into, because I feel like I'm coming into his space, right?
Maybe he just made that happen for you because you were so generous and receiving of him.
That's what I would like to think. I would like to think that that was his, again, sort of like, hey, you're welcome to stay here.
That's so cool. What was he reading? Was he reading a Time magazine
I don't know.
It's Waldo. It's like, where's Waldo? It's the big Waldo book, and he's just like,
right. Yeah.
I got this page. Oh, he's at the beach. He's at the beach, Rock.
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna take forever. God, where is he? Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Or he's reading like a Nancy Drew. Or
yeah,
something.
he's just.
Or
one of those big Time Life magazines that they're like.
Well, he was a doctor, so he might have been reading some
magazines that are like bigger at one point.
Yeah.
That's so cool. The floodlight was on, so that there was a floodlight when he lived there too. Maybe
Yeah.
Wait, was it a street light? Was it a street lamp?
No. Were they?
It was the one that goes on and off.
It could have been, but. For me,
maybe your brain was blending realities.
Like it could have been, 100%.
Right? Because the street lamp is in your the floodlight that goes on and off is in your current reality.
Yes,
probably wasn't in his time, or maybe it was. I don't know. Right?
I would think it. I would think it would be. I mean, they've done a lot of renovations to the house.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they've done anything.
And he didn't die 100 years ago. He died 20 years ago.
Not even.
Right, yeah.
I mean, 10 years ago, right before they bought the house.
Yeah.
And his caregiver had done like a saging sort of thing.
So very possible there's a floodlight there. Okay, cool. Yeah. I'm just talking. I'm just talking. That's so cool. Rocky, that's so cool, man.
It's just wild.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you say anything? You just sat in his presence and you were like, this is really cool.
I didn't say anything. I didn't disturb him.
Could you go back to sleep in the dream, or did you go back to sleep eventually and then it just kind of stopped dreaming?
I sort of did that, like filtering in and out, like when you wake up in the morning and you go back to sleep, and you wake up in the morning and you go back to sleep, sort of thing, when somebody sets an alarm for 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, I'm one of those guys.
I do that every day.
I do the 5-minute intervals for the whole hour.
I'll tell the clock, I'll be like, give me 5 minutes.
Yeah. But it's one of those where you fall asleep and you're like, was that 5 minutes or was that 5 hours? I don't really.
Yeah. I'll wake up an hour or two before my alarm goes off, and I'm like, like, what's going on?
Yeah. So it felt like one of those moments where I didn't really know time or anything like that.
But in that was that very, very vivid dream, and wow, that's so cool. You definitely weren't dreaming when you saw him the first time, though.
No,
you were wide awake.
I had picked.
You looked at your phone.
I had picked up my phone, looked at my phone, and that's
Yeah.
Something I've kind of, again, I have a lot of lucid dreams, and it's kind of something I have trained myself.
You can identify them more than
Because I always want to look at my phone.
You don't sleepwalk though.
No.
Good.
Never slept walk.
Dangerous.
Talked, but never slept walk.
Okay. Yeah.
Which normal.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah. Especially like. Yeah. Because Michelle will have conversations, but not like. She'll just say stuff like, "Oh, I was like, what?" And she's like, "No, I was dreaming." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Right. Very cool.
Yeah.
Now you recently went to visit your sister, like within the last couple of weeks.
Yep. Just a couple weeks ago, I was down there for Jazz Fest. I'm there every year.
Jazz Fest.
Sponsor the show.
Jazz Fest, you can sponsor me anytime.
I go there every year, but this
Evita
time,
is the name of that Madonna film, by the way. Sorry, I was trying to think of that this entire episode. The entire thing, Evita. Sorry. So I know we're jumping ahead in time to the last couple of weeks, but is there anything else that happened before that you want to tell us about before?
I mean, there's always kind of small occurrences that happen in that house.
Please.
I think one of my favorite ones, and this again is not a malicious attack or anything, but When my niece was born, she got pretty sick after she was about a year. She was maybe like a year and a half ish, and she's named after two of her great grandmothers, and she's being changed by my sister. She's in the room and she looks past my sister and goes, "Hi, Francis."
Oh.
That's her middle name of one of the grandmothers that she's named after.
Yeah.
And if you know Frances, according to my brother-in-law, Frances was a very caring. She would be the one who would bring you chicken noodle soup at, you're sick.
Yeah.
Make you cinnamon toast.
Oh, that's great.
She would take care of you. So I think that was kind of a special moment to have, your namesake looking at you when you're sick and your parents are worried for your health, to look at you and kind of be there for you, like a guardian angel almost.
That's cool. She's 2 or 3. She's little.
She's 1, 2. I mean, just first words are coming out.
She said her name.
She looked past
and said her name. She probably introduced herself when the other person wasn't there.
Yeah.
Or maybe said it while they were there. "I'm Francis." Then she said, "Hi, Francis."
Or has
had more conversations with her
right.
when there was nobody there, or when she was going to sleep at night.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
I think that's special. So I think
that's
their
really
house,
cool.
well, it's haunted. I wouldn't say it's necessarily haunted.
It's occupied.
But it's occupied.
Yes, it has character.
But it's occupied by people that are, benevolent. Like they want the best for you, right? In talking to the neighbors,
yes.
My sister has found out that the doctor would have very much enjoyed them taking over. He loved dogs. They have a dog. He loved having children around.
Yeah.
They have 2 kids now.
Oh.
And they're a young family kind of starting out their life and all of that. And I think his presence is kind of just keeping a lookout on the house.
Hey, Francis.
Hey, Francis. What are you doing here?
That's so cool.
That's
so cool.
Like he's
that's so cool.
He's not
Rocky.
saying what are you doing here to kick you out. He's kind of like checking your ID at the door, in a way.
He saw that you could see him.
Yeah, and I'm not the only one that has had the "what are you doing here?"
experience. Wow. Okay.
So my dad is a skeptic, beyond skeptic.
Okay. Turn that AC down.
Yes. Yes.
Your mother's here. She's trying to go to sleep.
Yes. He had a similar experience too that he shared with me actually when I was talking to my family before I came onto this.
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to see if anybody else had experiences, and he shared that he had the same exact experience that I had.
What are you doing?
He stayed in the room.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? So he's just checking your ID at the door, He's just making sure you're okay.
Man, that
you belong there.
Man, that's cool. What are you doing here?
I think that's
and what are you doing here?
Right? I'd love to ask him that question back. And I've never had a sort of rapport with him or any session where I've been able to respond to him, other than just me walking into the room when I first get there and announcing myself.
Yep.
I'm going to be in your space for a few days. I apologize.
Or, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Exactly. Yeah.
I hope I don't get in your way.
Exactly.
Read some ghostly books, I suppose.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is leading up to your most recent trip, or do you have any other little things that happened that you remember?
I mean, that's pretty much the most. That's up to date. That's the history of it. I mean, I've had experiences prior. You said you were kind of interested.
Yes.
So I can kind of go into some of those.
Do you want to finish with this house first and then tell us about this?
Yeah, that's pretty much this house.
So wait, but you were just there. Did anything happen while you were there?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was there for Jazz Fest. I brought my girlfriend. Yep.
Oh, your girlfriend, Rock. Yeah, she's very nice. I met her as well.
Yep, Janet.
The same night I met you. Janet!
Yep, we love her. She's great. Shout out, Janet.
Shout out.
No, she stayed in the room, and I don't think I creeped her out, but when we walked into the room, she was in that guest room. I just told her, I was like, just announce yourself.
She stayed with you in the room.
No. I was separate. I stayed up in my niece's room. Niece stayed in the nephew's room.
What?
It's
You left Janet in the doc's room by herself
It's a Catholic household.
for her first time there?
It's a Catholic household.
Oh,
We're
my
unmarried.
Gosh,
You know?
I can see my parents reflected in this, but oh gosh, Janet.
Yep. So she was stuck down there.
I would have let her sleep with a niece. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay.
Yeah, but it was the room's actually very nice because it kind of creates its own little wing.
Sure,
you
it's
know?
nice, but this the ghost room.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She's okay. She's a skeptic too. She's Yeah.
I'm sure I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Good night, Rocky.
yeah. Something like that.
All right. So how did she fare?
She was fine. No
She
experiences.
didn't have any experiences.
No, we announced ourselves.
Some
when
people
we came
can't see him.
in. Again, like
Yeah.
I was saying with the veil,
Possibly.
I think there's
Yeah.
some people have, a thinner.
Or 20 years from now, she'll tell you what she saw.
Yeah. Who knows?
I did see, and this is what.
I mean to tell you.
Yeah. It wasn't a big deal. There was a whole band, and they marched through the room, and they played some New Orleans jazz funeral march. Was it Zydeco? What am I trying to say?
The second line.
When they did the marches, is it called second line?
So yeah, a second line will be like after a wedding or something. They'll have the band marching through the street with like the wedding party.
They do that with funerals too, right?
I think they do it with funerals. New Orleans is this type of city where any reason to party, they're going to party.
They're gonna get out
If they
there.
can march through the
There was a whole
city,
band, and then she was like, "That just happened."
Yeah.
They came right to the wall and went through one side to the other.
They pretty much could have.
I've been meaning to tell you about that. And there was like dogs there too. They were marching along with the band. I just want ghost dogs and paintings. I just like dogs. I think that's what's happening. And music in New Orleans. So she didn't see anything. Did you see anything in the other rooms?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
No. Has your sister told you any stories? Has your sister's husband told you any stories? And have the nieces are growing up? They're getting older. Have they said anything? Did you check in with these folks or get any other?
A little bit. There hasn't been a whole lot of activity there. The niece, she's what is she, 7 now?
Yeah.
She's just kind of like, Uncle Doodle, you're crazy.
Awesome.
She doesn't.
Uncle Doodle, ladies and gentlemen.
Uncle Doodle.
Does your sister have experiences and she's talked about it, or she just
occasionally she might have like a sneeze or a cough or something?
Okay.
But she hasn't had really anything.
Nothing on your level of experience.
No.
Wow.
But she doesn't stay in that room.
What did your dad say he saw?
My dad said he saw the same thing I saw the first night.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? The guy, he walked in through the bathroom almost like he's on a ritual, coming back from the bathroom, going to bed, and there's somebody in his bed, and what are you doing here?
Yeah, okay.
And usually around the same time, around 2, 3 o'clock.
Witching hour.
Yeah.
What about your mom?
My mom will usually stay up in the niece's room because it's cooler up there. And so she hasn't had any experiences, but she has felt the temperature change.
There are less haunted parts of the house.
I would think so. I think his room is essentially the hot spot.
Janet didn't say anything.
She didn't say anything. The niece's room is right above the doctor's room. Mm-hmm. So, there's been experiences there. I mean, my mom, she's got to keep the house at 64 to be comfortable type of lady. And she has woken up at the times that she has stayed in the doctor's room. She has woken up in the middle of the night.
And it was colder.
And it's been freezing cold. Wow. And I've never heard my mom complain about being cold. She's always hot. Always running.
Wow, okay. Cool.
So she's had experiences like that, but she hasn't seen any sort of physical manifestation or anything like that,
So that is the end. That's the end of the chapter on this house.
Pretty much, yeah.
So tell me of some of your earlier experiences, maybe your first experience, or if you want to start there and then just leading up to the seriousest one, the biggest ones, which I assume are the doc reading with you, and then what are you doing here? Also, that was pretty significant.
Right. So
that door shutting was pretty significant.
The door shutting, I feel like, was the start of kind of things.
Right. Yeah.
Again, I feel like he was protecting his home, and
definitely announcing he was there.
Didn't know who these people were.
Now, your sister did see that.
Everybody saw it.
Yeah.
I mean, they were at the street corner and the door closed behind them.
In the daylight.
In the home. In the daylight.
Yeah.
Plain as day.
Yeah.
You know. So that's kind of the end of the chapter on that house.
Yeah.
But for me, I've had a again, I have pretty lucid dreams, so I've had a couple of experiences, and there's really two that stand out to me. I don't know if these are the best for.
We like to address everything paranormal, and dreams.
Okay.
Dreams can be paranormal. Are they prophetic in any way, or are they
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit, and one
Seeing the future in them a little bit, or things that weren't true that came true, or warnings or anything like that.
One was 100% a warning.
Yeah, we're all about that. Let's hear about that, please.
Okay. Just trigger warning. This one does contain a little bit of a bad experience for somebody that was in the dream with me.
Okay.
But was unknown to me and not harmed by me in any way.
Yeah, we like trigger warnings. We've talked about Auschwitz on the show before as well,
Okay.
and so we please, if you give a disclaimer, hit it.
Yeah, yep. So just want to put that out there. So my first experience with like a very lucid dream, I was in a hotel room. Me and my dad used to go on a fishing trip in Seattle every year, and so we would share a hotel room. I'm in one double bed, he's in the other double bed. I go to sleep before him. He's watching TV or something. I'm knocked out. But in my dream, this is about a year or year and almost 2 years after high school. In the dream, I am walking the girl I was dating in high school out to her car, as I did most nights. When she would come over, we'd watch movies, she would hang out with my parents kind of thing. I'd walk her out to her car. And the way my home that I grew up in was set up, it was on a cul-de-sac that kind of went downhill, and we were on like the front left corner of that cul-de-sac. And she would either park kind of down the hill, or she would park like up on the driveway, and then the hill receded down and had a bunch of bushes and things. And so I'm just walking her out. And again, this is like a dream that almost feels like a memory, right? Just the same way that the doctor, reading his book, like I'm there in the same sort of sense. And so I'm walking her to her car, and there's something that's in the bushes behind her car. And it's, again, a very dark, no real structure to it entity, but it seems animal-like.
Okay.
I don't necessarily want to say like a wolf.
It's that fucking thing from Neverending Story, the messenger.
Yeah, it's just
the Gamork.
Yeah, it's just something.
Jesus.
It's something.
That's scary.
Like a golem running.
Yeah,
through the
right.
bushes.
Yeah, golem. Right, exactly.
Or something like that.
Something bad, something evil. Yeah.
Definitely had
a lot smarter than a wolf too.
Definitely had a malicious intent, and I felt that immediately as soon as I saw it.
Okay.
So I tell her to run back into the garage. I'm like, run, run, run. She's running. In the dream, I turn around to run, behind her. I'm running away too. I get grabbed, and I get kind of like pulled back. And then the last part before I woke up in this dream, like woke up in real life, the last part I remember is her being grabbed by the entity and being like pulled back into the bushes.
She ran towards the garage. She passed.
She did. She passed me, but the thing basically like ran over me, like tackled me, and like hopped on. I mean, this thing was lightning fast.
And then dragged her back to
and
where
dragged her back into the bushes.
Passing you?
Passing me, and I wake up. But as this whatever grabbed her, I'm screaming, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
And when I wake up in real life, my dad is there watching TV, kind of looks at me side-eye. He's like, are you good?
Oh.
And I'm like, why? What do you mean?
Okay.
And he's like, you were just screaming, no, no, no,
screaming
no, in your sleep.
Yeah.
So years pass after this. I think kind of nothing of this event. I reconnect with my high school girlfriend afterwards, and I'm talking to her just about, we're exchanging things that we've been through since we haven't seen each other.
Sure.
Right?
Catching up.
Catching up, right? And she kind of opens up to me and says that she was sexually assaulted by her boyfriend at the time. That would have been the same timeline as me having that dream.
Yeah.
And to me, this might be a stretch, but I feel like that was something reaching out to me to say, hey, somebody that you love
in trouble,
is in danger.
Yeah. She was in danger.
And she was.
Yeah.
But unknown to me, you know? And at that point, we hadn't spoken in months. We separated, you know,
and it was
peacefully.
A dream. It was a dream. Like, it's not like I would call her up and be like,
oh, I had this crazy
dream.
attack
for that thing from Neverending Story.
Hey, we haven't spoken in 6 months, but I just want to let you know I'm dreaming about you.
Right.
No, nobody's going to do that.
No.
So that, it was just.
And having nightmares about you as well. So not even a dream, like a nightmare.
You're being attacked by something in my dreams. Are you okay? Nobody's making that call.
No.
No sane person's making that call. So that was one of the weird ones.
It's weird.
The second one that really stands out to me. I was in a fraternity in college, and our fraternity house, I have walked, cleaned, whatever, hundreds of times. Right?
Good times, man. Yeah.
Great times.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you just kind of, you know, when you're walking, like you could almost walk around your house probably with your eyes closed.
Yes.
Just because you know, like the different sounds that this floorboard might make or,
sure,
you know, whatever. So I'm walking through the fraternity house, and we have a tile room, and it's a big social room that leads into a like kitchen. And that's your typical path is you're walking from the courtyard through the social room tile into the kitchen, again, tile. And I can hear my footsteps on the tile, and I can hear something behind me walking on the tile. And the footsteps are getting closer and closer, okay? And my college apartment that I stayed in, if you were laying in my bed, you were looking directly into my bathroom, sort of like a hallway sort of situation.
Okay.
And it happened very fast, and it's almost like this sounds corny, I'm sorry, but it's almost like an inception where you wake up from a dream into another dream into another dream.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Kind of thing. So
dreams have transitions, though. They do that.
This transitioned like very quick into reality. And it was like...
Oh, you woke up.
I woke up. Like enough to turn my light on. But anyways, so I'm walking in, and I'm walking just casually through the social room.
Yeah.
There's footsteps behind me, and they're picking up pace. Boom, 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 boom. And as I hear that, as it's like something's coming after me, I wake up into another dream where something's coming out of my bathroom, out of that same like pace, like exact same footsteps, same, you know, acceleration, everything. It gets in my face and just screams at me in something I don't understand.
Oh, you don't know what it said?
No idea.
Yeah.
No idea what it said, but it just screamed at me. And I turn on the light. I wake up, and it's still cold in the room. All the hairs on my body are just standing straight up. I turn on the light, and the room felt super uncomfortable for like an hour. Like I could not go back to sleep after that. Like I fell asleep with the doctor, no problem.
Yeah.
This was one of the ones where
This is dark.
You don't.
This is something bad.
And months following, our fraternity got into a lot of trouble.
Oh no!
As fraternities may do.
Yeah.
and I was not somebody who did something that like caused it, but I was one of the ones who stood up to fight back against what I felt like was an injustice for us, and that caused a lot of turmoil in the rest of my college years.
You were still in school?
I was still in school.
When this bad stuff went down,
this would have been my freshman year.
You stood on the side that necessarily was not the partied selection you stood against. Dude, always stand against. Like if you don't think something's right, then
we you know, without going into that whole story with the fraternity and everything, like there was a group of people who did some stuff that was very much not cool.
Yeah.
And we had a group of people who were coming in and changing everything that we thought was what made us unique and, you know, stood out, and not just a bunch of frat boys who are drinking beer and, you know, trying to sleep with girls and partying all the time. Like we thought that we had a traditions, and every kind of chapter of a fraternity has their own unique traditions. And the group that was coming in trying to erase the hazing and previous things that happened,
the
that
history.
were bad, they were also trying to erase the history. Yep. And there was a couple of us, I guess me kind of being the forefront guy, who stood up and said, "That's not cool.
Yeah,
erasing our history is not cool."
Yeah.
But that dream happened, 2-3 months before all of that.
So it was like
down.
Bad things are coming down the pike. Look
Yeah.
out for some changes that might not be fun.
Right.
And you're going to have to deal with these things. And then, it's kind of prophetic. It's kind of...
A little bit.
Right?
I mean, I hate to
bit.
say that because I don't want to...
No, it's,
But I feel like,
And of all the dreams you have, you're probably at times looking for patterns and looking for... you have these vivid dreams. Is there value to them beyond just, wow, that was cool? Or your brain is just having a party at night when you're sleeping?
I mean, there might be a part of that, but I mean, I have dreams occasionally that are meaningless.
Right.
That I think, but I've always kind of kept a little bit of a journal if I think something's interesting.
That's good. Yeah.
Just so if something happens, I can look back and be like, oh, okay, 3 months ago,
I remember being able there was a series of dreams I had one time where I was able to go back into them.
Yeah.
And I don't always have that control, but I was able to do that at one point. And then I woke up and looked for bullet holes one time. I thought I'd been shot.
I've had a dream where I thought I killed one of my best friends.
Oh God!
And I woke up and was like, accidentally, not like
Looked for a dog that I thought was in the house. That was in my dream in the house, and then totally like maybe a minute, and I was like, all right, But I definitely looked around like, fucking dog in here. Like,
it almost feels like a memory in like another life or something.
There's like like memory, like it sticks a little bit, like yeah. And, sometimes when people get shot, they don't feel it. Like, there's a lot of shock and everything involved, and it goes right through or whatever.
Sure.
So, like, there was a little fear involved. And I was in my bed. I was dreaming, and but I still checked. Like, I was still sense memory. Like, I was still, like, this part of my body was just really hot, and there's a bullet hole in me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I usually know I'm dreaming, though. It's not usually that real. I had a fever dream once where I was like moving around, and like I could feel myself moving around, but I couldn't get anywhere because I was laying down and asleep, and then I could feel my blankets and everything, but it was mud, and I was just stuck in the mud, and I was trying to raise a flag in a war. I didn't have any bullets left. I didn't have a gun. Everybody was dead, but I just wanted to die with the flag raised.
Almost like an Iwo Jima sort of experience.
I just wanted to let people, the other side, know that we were there.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal. And all I wanted to do was get that flag and raise that flag. And I could feel the muck and the blood and the everything. And it was my blankets. It was my bedding.
Right.
But it was so fucking real. I had a fever. I was very sick.
Yeah.
And that was a dream I had when I was very sick.
Yeah, dreams are something that I think is very curious.
I was very sick.
Yeah.
That was a fever dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very sick.
I mean, just the way that
I made it. I was okay, but the whole school got real sick. The school I was going to, a bunch of kids came down with fever, and it was going around.
Yeah.
And yeah. Anyway, yeah, crazy. Dreams. I don't dream like that as much anymore, though. I don't know what that is.
I smoke too much.
Yeah.
I feel like that suppresses the crazy.
I don't have nightmares that I wake up screaming from, though. I don't have. People talk about night terrors and stuff like that. I don't have any of that. I'm really glad I don't.
Yeah, I mean
that's some serious shit.
The two that I just described are probably the two night terrors that I've ever really had.
And you woke up screaming with your dad. Like that was pretty big deal.
He heard me.
You were like, yeah.
Yeah.
One time I woke up and swung my arm to stop these soldiers that were trying to arrest me and take me away, and I swung at them, right, and there was a lamp, and I took the lamp out.
Oh no!
Like I fucking was like, and like, and then I was like, oh shit, and I scared the hell out of my cats.
Yeah.
And woke up and And I was like, oh, Jesus. Yeah. That was a good one. That's crazy. So that dream, my best friend at the time, who turned out to not be the best of people, and I was going through the process of like being like, I don't trust this guy. Like, this guy's no good. Like, this is a pattern. Like, this is not a good human, right? And he came in the theater and fingered me, and was like, it's him. He's right there. And I was like hiding out in the theater, and then all these soldiers just came in and started lining up and then pointing rifles at me, and then they started coming at me down the row. And that's when I tried to run, and they were coming down the row at me, and then they had their hands on me, and I tried to swing at them. But it started with him being like, it's him. He Judased me, like he turned me in,
somebody
betrayed me.
Out.
It was him.
Do you know who the person was?
Yeah, it was the guy I was best friends with at the time that was just really shitty, and like I was kind of slowly coming to terms with that.
Huh.
And distancing myself.
Huh.
Yeah.
Again, it's like a foreshadowing sort of thing that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely, he was definitely part of that. He betrayed me, and then like betrayed me to this arresting army that I was hiding from in this theater.
Yeah.
And it was like an old like Jimmy Stewart movie on the screen. Like it was like a movie. It's like an afternoon, and I was just like, no one will find me in this Jimmy Stewart showcase. I was the only one there too. I was just hiding out in a movie theater. Man, that was weird.
I'm picturing. Have you seen the movie Oh Brother Ward though?
Yeah.
You know the scene where they march in all the prisoners.
Yes.
Into the movie theater.
Yes.
Imagine that.
Yes.
Those soldiers.
It was more like
that's my.
It was more like those like old video games, like that old Aerosmith video game when you're being attacked by all those nameless robot soldier guys, and they're trying to stop you, and then you're like, it was more like that where they were just everywhere, and they were just coming in like nameless stormtrooper like robots, like, and then police in full riot gear with face masks. Like, they weren't like, they were people, but they were necessarily like, they were covered up.
Okay.
It was weird. Yeah, I don't know. But I did swing and take out that lamp on my bed. Totally just knocked it across the. It was one of those lamps, and I just was like. And
one of the.
Knocked it up against the wall. Yeah. It was fine.
One of the tall lamps.
But I remember my cats all just going, and like the cats caused ruckus among what I'd already woken up to, and then the cats were just like, because they were all on the bed with me, and I woke up and swung, like pulled myself up and swung, because I was trying to escape. Again with that flag dream where I was, moving and I could feel myself moving. Those were pretty vivid. Like, I don't know if I'm dreaming kind of that. I guess it's the closest I've gotten to some serious nightmares where I don't know I'm dreaming the whole time. I always know I'm dreaming, and I'm always me. I never dream of somebody else. Do you dream you're other people?
I've never dreamt of.
I'm always me.
Yeah, I'm always me.
Yeah, and then like first person me. Like I can see my arms. I'm in my body. I'm not like
exactly.
I'm always me.
Not third person.
No.
Not another person. And it always, the vivid dreams I have always feel, when you wake up in the morning, it feels like a memory. Like like almost like you were blackout drunk the night before,
and you're like, that is not reality.
No,
that did not
steal
happen.
that traffic cone, sort of thing.
Yes, you did. It's in your room.
And you wake up and there it is, right? But in this case, it's not there.
Where did I get that? I gotta take it back.
Yeah, you have that sort of like head scratcher where you're like, huh. What day is it?
Speaking of traffic cones, one of my roommates growing up was crazy, and he was a goofball. And he went through this whole like month where he would take all of the construction blinky lights off of like construction sites, and you know the blinky lights that
and
he'd yank them all off, and then they were all over our apartment, just
blinking away.
When the lights went off and the solar would come on, and they were all over the apartment for a while, and it was like, dude, what are they doing all these lights? Like, then of course they ended up in my room because I complained about it, so he put them all in my room. Just I woke up to like,
oh no,
and I'm like, dude, what is happening?
Oh no,
get this shit out of my room. I was laughing. It was funny.
Yeah, no, that's funny, but there would be some repercussions.
And then they all, I don't know, he did something with him or gave him to somebody or whatever. They were just all gone one day, and he moved on to something else.
Yeah.
That was funny. Yeah. Speaking of traffic cones, yeah. Well, any other stories or any other dreams? That's
pretty much it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my New Orleans experience, my weird little dream experience.
Dreams experience. Rocky, thank you so much for coming and being on the show today, and I'm so glad you made this happen. I remember us trading texts and messages for a while, and I didn't hear from you, so I was like, oh man, I really wanted to hear about that. Like, I wanted to hear about that house. I hope he calls me back.
Yeah, well,
and then you did.
I wasn't sure how interesting it would be, and it's something that happened to me and kind of makes you feel a little bit crazy at times when you talk about, but it was great sharing it with you, and I really appreciate you being open and
absolutely
and everything. So
yeah, thanks so much for coming, Rocky. Great to have you, man.
Likewise, thanks.
Take care of yourself.
You too.
See ya. Wow, what a great episode. I enjoyed that. So enjoyed having Rocky come and hang out with us and tell us his story, and that was really cool. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a story that you want to share with me, please write in to paranormalrecordpodcast@gmail.com. And you don't have to write the whole story out. A lot of people keep sending me stuff and then writing the whole story out, but you don't have to do that. You just need to say, hey, I'm so-and-so. I have a story for you. I live in so-and-so. I live this place. You don't even have to give me your full name. You could just say, my name is Lucy, and I live in Georgia, and give me your story. Just say you want to tell me a story, and briefly describe it, like a couple sentences, and I'll call you, and we'll set it up, and we'll get a Zoom. If you live in Georgia, we can meet up, come to the house, hang out. Tell me a story. That's what this podcast is all about. I want to hear these stories, and then I want to turn around and share them with you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed Rocky's story. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Really cool. I really enjoy everything I've heard and read about New Orleans. I enjoyed my own experiences there. Nothing paranormal, but just I love that city. It's so gorgeous. But what a cool story. I can see that house. I can see that I can see that living room. I can see all the stuff, and I really, the way Rocky told his stories, I could really he just took me with him, and I could see that house and could see those things happening, and I just love the story so much, and I hope you did too. So, guys, tune in and stay tuned. Tune in, stay tuned, because we got another season coming up. I got some great stuff. And I'll see you there. Y'all take care. Thank you so much for joining me. Good night. Wow, what a great episode. I enjoyed that. So enjoyed having Rocky come and hang out with us and tell us his story. And that was really cool. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a story that you want to share with me, please write in to paranormalrecordpodcast@gmail.com. And you don't have to write the whole story out. A lot of people keep sending me stuff and then writing the whole story out, but you don't have to do that. You just need to say, hey, I'm so-and-so. I have a story for you. I live in so-and-so. I live this place. You don't even have to give me your full name. You could just say, my name is Lucy, and I live in Georgia, and give me your story. Just say you want to tell me a story, and briefly describe it, like a couple sentences, and I'll call you, and we'll set it up, and we'll get a Zoom. If you live in Georgia, we can meet up, come to the house, hang out, tell me a story. That's what this podcast is all about. I want to hear these stories, and then I want to turn around and share them with you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed Rocky's story. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Really cool. I really enjoy everything I've heard and read about New Orleans. I enjoyed my own experiences there. Nothing paranormal, but just I love that city. It's so gorgeous. But what a cool story. I can see that house. I can see that I can see that living room. I can see all the stuff, and I really, the way Rocky told his stories, I could really he just took me with him, and I could see that house and could see those things happening, and I just love the story so much, and I hope you did too. So, guys, tune in and stay tuned. Tune in, stay tuned, because we got another season coming up. I got some great stuff, and I'll see you there. Y'all take care. Thank you so much for joining me. Good night.